Okay. An inviting thing where people request to watch. So one day, y'all, I was sitting at my desk. Oh, first of all, let me just go back a little bit further. Whenever I applied for a specific position, I was told by the vice president to not let the hiring manager know about all of my degrees because she didn't have a degree. That should have been kind of a red flag to me when I got the position, but I was really looking forward to that position because I had been at that particular company already for, I think, 5 years, and I started off in the mail services department. So I was the mail girl, and as you know, everybody looks at that usually as the lowest of the low that you can start in a company. But I had a plan, okay? My plan was to get in there, okay, just my foot in the door and work my way up. So when I was the mail girl there, I would go around to every single department. I got to know the owners of the company, okay? I got to know the VPs, the managers. Everybody knew me, and everybody always called me Sunshine because no matter what, I went in there with a smile on my face. So I worked my way in, and I also got to the point where they liked me so much, I did the hospitality during the board meeting. So I was in there with all these high-powered men, the CEO of Coca-Cola. Everybody got to know my face, okay? So I used that as an avenue to get to another department. Whenever I applied for the position, y'all, they said, oh, you don't qualify. I didn't even fill nothing out. I just was like, okay, human resources, I've been here, so I want to, go ahead and apply for the position. They said I didn't qualify. So the greatest part about it is that I had already established these relationships by going in every morning, delivering the mail. Hi, how's your dog doing? Or I really knew the stories of a lot of these people, okay? So I left human resources and I went to the vice president of that department, who talked to the director of the department. They both loved me, okay? And they said, okay, you can come to this department, but it's contingent upon you passing your not the real estate, but your insurance exam to become a claims adjuster. And I said, okay, that's totally fine. I passed the test. Everybody who was around me was saying that I wouldn't pass the test because people in the department have been trying to pass the test and they couldn't. And they said, oh, it's too hard. You don't know anything about it. You're not going to be able to pass the test. Well, I passed the test and I got the job. And I was thankful for the job. That's something that I prayed for, transition. And, but, after a while, I got to the point where I was just dreading to go in every single morning. I would get anxiety on Sunday nights. I'm like, I got to go back into that place. Sorry that the light is changing, y'all. There's an overcast outside. But I was getting to the point where, it was really bad, okay? There was different people coming in and people being replaced, okay? So I remember one day I had booked a trip, y'all, to Jamaica for my anniversary. No, actually it was for my honeymoon, kind of. So when I booked that trip, mind you, I was new in the department. I was brand spanking new, so I was the baby of the department. A lot of those people had been there for 25 plus years. So in order to take vacation time, they went by who was there the longest. I was the only one there with small children, but it did not matter to them. Who took precedence was the ones who were there the longest. So I would always get the short end of the stick. So one day, my manager came to my desk and she said to me, okay, what days are you requested off? Because I see here you got this, but you can't take those days off because everybody else is taking theirs. Here we go again. So I was like, well, I already booked a trip to Jamaica. So she screamed at me, y'all. Why would you do that? I'm getting tired of this shit. She was screaming at me like, now, mind you, I have 4 children. She was screaming at me like I was a child. Was going through this. So I was so ready to get up out of there. But I also know that nothing would change unless I changed. I couldn't complain that I kept, every time I would go up for a review, that they came up with an excuse of why my work was horrible, that it wasn't good enough for me to get the raise. Every single time they put me on probation, several times. Okay, if you don't get this together, then you're not going to be here for long. Okay, this right here was totally out of my element because I was a massage therapist before I started that company, so I had my own schedule. Okay, so I'm a free spirit. This felt like jail to me. This was not going to work. All right, so it wasn't worth it for me to be at that job only because I brought in $2,200 a month for a family of 6. Y'all heard correctly. This was 2 years ago now. $2,200 a month for a household of 6. Our rent was $1,200. One car was $500. Y'all do the math. That's what, $1,700? And how much did I say I brought home? $2,200? Okay. It took me an hour and a half to get to work. That's gas. I had to pay for gas. It was not making sense for me to stay there. And if I was pregnant at that time, if I were to have my baby, I really would be, I was about to be real broke, y'all, because daycare down here is ridiculous. I wouldn't be able to, it made no sense for me to go back to work after I went on maternity leave. So I vowed to myself. I said, self, girl, you got to get it together. Because this is not the type of lifestyle that you dreamed of and that you speak of. Okay? And so, y'all, I was going to school just to use my financial aid check to pay my bills. I had degrees. I really didn't want another degree. The only reason why I was going to school was to get that financial aid check, getting myself into more debt. More debt. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of debt. Okay. So that's what I had to do for the moment. But I stopped and I was like, there's more to life than this. There's got to be more than this. For me, not being able to pay my bills, I just have enough, to cover just the things that we need, really. And I made too much gross-wise to even qualify for food stamps. Yes, I applied. They said I made too much. Household of 6, bringing home $2,200 a month, but they didn't care about that. They went by your gross. That's not what I brought into my house. Okay, so I said, if it is to be, it is up to me. I cannot come in and complain about my circumstances when I am not willing to do anything about it. I can come in all day feeling some type of way, but guess what? It's a choice. I chose to be right there. That's something that I prayed for at the beginning, but that's something that I prayed for began to being something that I had outgrown. Okay, how many of you have prayed for something and you got it, but then you outgrow it? Okay, so that's what happened to me. I outgrew where I was because I was tired of my kids saying, Mommy, when are you going to eat lunch with us? I did not have time to eat lunch with them. I would have to take time off, and I only had a certain amount of days to take off. Mommy, is Santa coming? Santa is going to Grandma's house this year. Y'all, I could not afford even to buy Christmas gifts for my children 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago. I would come up with things and I would pray that with my girls, my son understood because he was a teenager. He said, Mom, I don't need anything. Okay. But my daughters, they're looking for Santa to come. All right. They're looking for Santa Claus to come. And Mommy didn't have the means to give them that. So I would love when they were with their father at their father's house for Christmas, if it was his particular year to get them. I was happy about that because that gave me time to gather up gifts from everybody else's house to put it up under the tree when I got home. This was my reality 2 years ago. A lot of people see, Facebook. I always wore a mask on Facebook because I always knew that I could inspire people. But I was going through so much. I was going through a custody battle that I did not even think was coming. I was going through, trying to have a baby. It wasn't happening. All these things was going on. Life was happening. But I was like, even though life is happening, how am I going to react to these things? What am I going to do when life comes my way? Am I going to ball up in a shell, say, oh, I'm depressed? No. I'm going to get up and put on my big girl panties and say, enough is enough. I got to get it together. I got a family to feed. My husband was injured, so he wasn't bringing in any income. For those of you, yes, there's this girl who made a whole 12-minute video about how I use my husband's money. No, I have been the breadwinner because my husband was injured. So just to clear that up, it was not my husband's money. Okay. So this is what I started doing, y'all. On my desk, I had everything positive you can possibly think of. I printed everything positive out. And there was something that was in front of me that I always kept. Every day I looked at it. And it was just reminding me that this is just you passing through. This is not where you're going to be forever. And I really believe in the power of speaking things. But how many of you know that you can speak so much? You can speak all day. All right? You can speak all day, but you have to put feet to your faith. You can say things that you want all day, but what work are you putting in to get those things achieved? Okay? I sat at my desk, and one day I got called into, I'm sorry, I'm adding people who's requesting. I got called into my manager's office yet again. We have looked at your records, and we see that you have been doing this travel thing, and we're going to have to write you up. They were monitoring my every single move, y'all. They were monitoring the whole thing. Okay, so I got some sticky notes. And I looked at all of my debt. Sorry, I'll look blurry. I looked at all of my debt. And I wrote every single person that I owed down. I wrote down credit care. I had to get a loan when I was going through that custody battle. I wrote down Springleaf. I wrote down Fingerhood. I wrote down every single creditor and person that I owed. Okay, because the Bible says, let's be lenders, not borrowers. I started there first. I reached out to a lady named Derica Harwell. Many of you follow her. And matter of fact, let me add her to this live feed too. I reached out to her and told her that I needed help with my credit. And I started with her, okay, and she started working on that. But at the same time, what I started doing was paying down my debt. Not by the one that was the most money. I started by the one with the highest interest rate first. Okay, so if I had one that was 27%. And that was my highest one. I started with that first. So I started this business, okay, Planet Marketing. I started this business, y'all. And I acted like I wasn't getting any extra money because the money that I was getting from this business, I put it all into paying down debt. So while I still had my plan A, I was working my plan B part-time, but was able to bring myself home by doing it that way. I paid off over $20,000 of debt within 6 months. So me coming home was looking much better. Okay. So I started with the highest interest rate. I paid that one down. I went with the next one. I paid until everybody was paid off completely. So now I was like, okay, well, the money, that I would be using to pay them, like me traveling for gas, going to work. Okay. I put all of that into my head and I said, okay, when I go on maternity leave, my plan is to not come back. So I had to start this business in order to pay down my debt because there was no way that I was going to pay down my debt with what I had coming in because that wasn't even enough to cover the bills that I had coming in. Everybody, Natalie, so look, Natalie was broke, busted, and disgusted, honey. But I always had faith. Let me tell you another thing, y'all. It's important to feed your mind with positivity. One thing that I do not do is watch the news. I don't watch the news. First thing in the morning, I do is I watch something positive, maybe Eric Thomas, E.T. Thomas, or, Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Tony Robbins. A lot of those people I watch first thing in the morning. It's important what you feed yourself first thing in the morning when you get up. I've always spoke things. So to give you an example of things that I spoke, I not only spoke it, but I wrote it down in a journal. When I was about 18 or 19, I knew the power of the subconscious mind. I read this book called Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe, and it totally changed the way I thought, and it trained me how to think positively. Okay, I wrote down in my journal, at the age of 25, I want to have a daughter, and her name is going to be Morgan Dior. Y'all, I had a daughter at 25, and her name was Morgan Dior. Also, y'all, I'm going to switch this around just really quickly for y'all to see. Y'all see this? All right. This is the vision board that I'm working on now. All right. All right. This is the one I'm working on now. But back then I was in college, and I had on my notebook a picture of a house that I wanted so bad. And I already had been influenced by a great friend of mine named Dante Corbin. She was older than me, but she had a lot of experience in, different things. And she's just a positive person. So she's told me about that book. And so I started putting it into play. I put a picture of a house on top of my notebook. Not only that, at the time, Dante Corbin was in Mary Kay. And she was always talking about the pink Cadillac. And I was like, I want me a pink Cadillac too. So every time I would get on the bus at college that would take us, because we didn't live on campus, it was like a couple of miles away, the bus would come pick us up and take us to campus. But every time I got on the bus, I said, this is my Cadillac. This is my Cadillac. Every time I looked at the book, my journal, I had a picture of this house that I really, really wanted. And I said, when I get older, and I get situated, I'm going to get me a house. At the age of 21, y'all, I had a Cadillac, and the house that I had a picture of, my house was 3 times as bigger than that house that I had on my notebook. I was able to I always said I wanted to have a house on a lake. At the age of 21, I bought my own house on a lake. These are things that I had already spoke, but I also wrote it down. And I never thought, even when during my 20s, y'all, I filed bankruptcy 3 times. 3 times. And my house never went into foreclosure. God always sustained everything that I prayed for. Like, he always showed up and showed out. And only because even though my circumstances look horrible, even though, I was going through a divorce, even though I kept having these notices in my mailbox that, your house, you need to pay your house, you're this much behind. I was in my old house for over a year, not making not one payment, and it never foreclosed. Ever. I never believed once that I was going to be on the doorstep with my children. I always believed positive. And that is the thing that you have to learn, because a lot of times I talk to people and they're speaking on the things that they see that's going on in their life at that present moment. They're speaking, how are you doing? I ask them, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing all right. Okay, guess what? Guess how are you going to feel? You just going to feel all right. Or I talk to somebody and say, how are you doing? Oh, I'm making it. Huh? Hey, look, when I talk to people, they ask me how I'm doing. If I was any better, I'd be twins. I am blessed and I'm anointed. I'm blessed out of my boots. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what my circumstances may be, you will not know it, because I am going to always speak things as if I would want them to be. My husband, you feeling okay? Oh, I'm feeling great. But you said your back was hurting. But I'm great. Guess what? Because I'm speaking that, because that's what I want. The things that you want. Maybe it's a better marriage. Maybe it's a better relationship with your children. Maybe it's a financial blessing that you're trying to overcome. Do not lose your faith, and do not stop speaking it as if you were already out of it. And I do recommend that book, y'all, Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe, because that's where I started learning how my thoughts frame my world. Okay, so everything that you think that's negative, the universe is going to respond. I kept saying, y'all, a few months back, I said, I really want a new car, okay, because my mother-in-law had given me her car to drive. So I was like, I really want a new car, but I do not want a car payment. And I kept saying, I kind of want a new car, but I don't want to get it right now and put that on my credit until I get a house, okay, because we're renting now. Okay, so I kept saying this, and guess what? My son totaled the car. So guess what had to happen? I had to get a new car. I kept speaking that. It's little things like that, y'all, that when you speak into the universe, that's why you won't hear me ever say now, good morning, because morning in another, in another way could mean grieving, or you're mourning, like death. I say great day now. Just small little things like that. I always speak positive. So yes, that happened. And then after he totaled the car, I had to get a new one. Y'all, this was on my vision board. I had this car, and there's another one somewhere, y'all. This one, black car. I wanted a black car. Guess what I got? A black car. And guess what? My credit was good enough for me to get a loan to get it, and with a small interest rate. Okay, and after we got it, we have a truck as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, our truck needs to be painted. The truck, y'all, the hood of it was like really, you know how sometimes the heat gets to it and then it starts kind of getting dry looking. Well, I was like, I really want the truck to get painted. Okay, so guess what happened? A month after my son totaled the car and we got a new car, I got a call about 2 months ago. Mom, I promise you, it's not my fault. I was just parked in front of my Uncle Rio's house, and Aunt Buffy, and somebody smashed into the truck. It was just parked. I wasn't driving it. I was like, oh my gosh. He felt so bad because he had just totaled the car, and he thought I was gonna be upset. I was like, that's okay, just go ahead and call the insurance, blah blah blah. So guess what had to happen, y'all? My truck had to get painted while it was in the shop. So I was not specific when I said I wanted my truck painted, but it got painted because I had to leave it in the shop to get fixed. So, small things like that. But y'all, 2 years ago, just to clarify how it was for me, I could not afford to get my truck fixed. It needed to be fixed so bad. There's in Gwinnett County, where I live, there's something called emissions in the state of Georgia. You have to pass the emissions, meaning your car has to pass to make sure that it's running correctly in order for you to get your new tags. I could not afford to get my truck fixed, so I failed my emissions. Therefore, for an entire year, I was riding dirty. My tags were expired for a whole year, and by the grace of God, I never got stopped. So I just want to tell everybody who's fearful of stepping out and doing something different, don't be afraid. You cannot have fear and faith at the same time. Whenever I knew that I wanted to grow and I wanted to become successful, I started following people who were successful and were in places that I wanted to be. I started separating myself from people and friends that I thought were friends, to go ahead and gravitate towards those people who were making it happen. I had to let go of friendships that were negative or needy. My whole circle changed, y'all. From the time I got married till now, the people who I'm surrounded with, they're speakers, they're motivational speakers, they're successful. You will never hear them talking anything negative. They're always speaking positively. But you have to separate sometimes, y'all, to elevate. So I had to not only separate to elevate. It was a season of separation. I did that before I went into my next level. I separated myself from a lot of negative people. Anybody who would call me and wanted to talk about drama, I had to cut those people loose. Because a dog who carries a bone, what they say, if they're telling me somebody else's business, I know for sure that they're going to be telling my business. So I really had to eliminate, friendships because of that. But separation is one of the things that I did. And sacrifice. Sacrifice was huge. When I wanted to become successful, I knew that if I wanted time, that I had to sacrifice time. I knew that if I wanted financial freedom, that I had to sacrifice finances. So what do I mean by that? On my journey to making six figures and retiring myself from corporate America, I really wanted the time freedom to have with my children. So guess what I did? I sacrificed time. I went to bed late and I got up early. Since I was working at the time that I started this business, I would get up an hour and a half or 2 hours prior to me going, having to leave for work. I would be up to late at night. My husband, he would be like, baby, please. And I would be like, baby, you're going to have to hold on for a minute. Okay, because I realized that I had to do what I had to do in order to give him the time that he was wanting from me. And I explained to him that, listen, I'm spending this time on my business now so that later, you can have my time. Okay, and now we get to wake up in the morning together. I can wake up when I want to. My commute is a second away because my commute is my telephone. I do everything from my phone or from my computer or from the beach or from the mountains, wherever location that I am, I get to do that. But I had to sacrifice time in the beginning in order to gain that time now. I had to sacrifice money in the beginning. It was a $99 investment for me when I started. It's $199 now. But sacrificing that $199 got me making over six figures. I say that was darn good. Okay, so you got to understand that you have to separate to elevate, and you have to sacrifice to get those things that you desire. Okay, don't listen to anybody who says that you cannot do something. If I listened to everybody who said that I could not, I would still be where I was. You can't do this, you can't do that. Can't is not in my vocabulary. And people oftentimes like to use the word try with me. There is no try. Try means having the intention to fail. What do I mean by that? It's either you do or you don't. There's no in between. Either you are or you ain't. There is no in between. When somebody says, say for instance, I'm inviting them to something to learn about the business, and they say, I'll try to make it. No, it's no try. Either you're going to make it or you're not. It's either or. But when you say try, that's saying, okay, at least I tried. So you're giving your permission that, well, even though I didn't go, at least I said that I would try. So it's giving you permission for failure. Okay, so make up your mind. I always say get mad, M-A-D, make a decision. When you're mad, when you're sick and tired of being where you are, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're going to M-A-D, make a decision. And a lot of people are still where they are. Why? Because they have not made a decision, okay? Or because they have not put the footwork to the things that they said they desire. I hear so many people tell me about their dreams. I hear so many people say, oh, I want this. I see myself, having this beautiful house. Or I want this. I want a new car. Or, I want to be able to have a nest egg for my children. But every time I look around, they're speaking negative, or they're not even doing anything. It's almost like they're waiting for something to land in their lap. And a lot of people, it makes their why not. I will ask a person, say for instance, if there's somebody who's joining me in business, I like to ask them why. What's your reason for joining the business? And a lot of them will say, well, I want more time. And I say, oh, great. Okay, so we can work on that. And then a month down the line, well, I don't have time to do this. I thought that I would be wait a minute. So you're making your why, now your why not. Okay, now you're saying you wanted time, but now that's the reason why you're not going to do it, because you don't have time. When will you ever have time? Guess what's going to always happen? You're never going to have time. Because until you make a change, your situation is going to stay the same. It's just excuses that I hear. I'm not an excuse person. And I might hear somebody tell me, say for instance, I have to take care of my parents. Okay. I have business partners who are in the top 5 income earners within our company out of over 19,500 who took care of their parents. So the same thing that you're saying that you're not able to do, somebody is getting it done. For every time somebody tells me they cannot do something, I know somebody who is getting it done with that same circumstances. Somebody said they don't have a car. Well, I don't have a car, so I can't. I know somebody who actually took an Uber to where they wanted to go. Okay? It's no excuses. If you really want to be where you want to be, you've got to stop playing the blame game. You've got to stop blaming your boss. It's not your boss's fault because you're there. Okay? You can make a decision to leave if that's a problem for you. Okay? You cannot blame your spouse. Well, my spouse won't let me. If y'all knew how many times that I've heard my spouse won't let me, but your family is struggling, what do you mean let you? Listen, ladies, I just want to say this. Sometimes you have to be the evidence for your spouse. They might not get it until you're the evidence. But you should never have to ask for permission to free your family from poverty. That's something that you should not have to ask for permission from. We have to sometimes stand in the gap. We have to stand in the gap sometimes and say, hey, enough is enough. I'm going to do this despite of what somebody said. I've got to get it done. You've got to trust the process and understand that success does not happen overnight. Too many people expect that, okay, I started a new business. Okay, now I'm a month is in. Well, I haven't been getting anybody to inquire about the business. So you ready to quit? So you mean to tell me you're going to quit at the beginning of the month? So Coca-Cola, who only sold 7 cans in a year, imagine if they had quit in the beginning. Okay? So I'm just wanting y'all to know that don't put limits on yourself. Whatever you want, you can definitely have, but you've got to let go of that fear, and you've got to start somewhere. Anywhere. You got to start somewhere. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Are you afraid to make one step to change your whole life? I really am a true believer in the law of attraction. I desired to be home with my children. I desired to be able to work from home. These were desires that I had. There's some people who are on this feed right now who's commenting below who I reached out to and say, can y'all hire me? Or, can you find somebody that's hiring? Or do you know any work from home positions? There's some people now who are in business, who are my partners now, who I reached back out to after I got myself out, who I was reaching out to saying, I need to get out. I need something else. Okay. There are those who reached out to me. Lori Burnett, that's up underneath commenting. She says, I quit my job. I'm not telling people to quit their jobs, but she said, I quit my job. So I need you. I said, I got you. She's now a director within the company. It only took her a couple of months to do. And I'm just saying, you have to, let me go back to the law of attraction, y'all. When I get happy, I just go all over the place. But that's something she desired, to be at home. She's now at home with her children. Okay. I desired that, and through a Facebook post, Mr. Orlando Moore, who's now my mentor, I don't know how we became friends, but I believe in the law of attraction, brought us together. I reached out to him and say, okay, I keep seeing you eating lunch with your children in the middle of the day. That's something I desire. What is it that you do? He told me about Planet Marketing, and he also told me about IntelliTravel. And I was like, well, I'm an introvert. Do I have to talk to people? Because those are my concerns. But I could not let the fear of me being afraid to like talk in front of people or talk to people or reach out to people. I was too broke to be skeptical, if that makes any sense. I was too broke to be skeptical. A lot of people say, okay, I need this, I need that. But then you present them with the opportunity. They say, well, I need to do my research. But you broke. Does your bank account say you need to do research? My bank account told me, you need to just go ahead and jump in. And that's what I did. And the one thing that I love about my company is that, we had guarantees in place. So when I was doing research, I found out that we were, just the bomb. Okay. We were backed, by the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating. So unless, all that skepticism just went down the drain, y'all. I could not be skeptical. So I actually joined November the 5th, 2015 on his birthday. And I was like, listen, I'm ready to go. Just train me up, mentor me, I'm going to follow your nick. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to do. Okay. And y'all, I could have been my own worst enemy had I been complacent. Had I been like, well, this is it. I'm here. I'm in corporate America. I'm bringing this. Maybe one day I'll get. But when I was hearing the people around me who had been at my job for 25+ years, even my manager saying that they wouldn't have enough money after retirement, I knew I was doomed because I wasn't making nowhere near none of their salaries. So I was like, dang, they said they're not going to have enough money to live off of. They'll have to get another job after no, ma'am. My wheels really started turning then, like, oh my gosh, I really got to do something. I was so glad that I was not closed-minded to this business. When I tell y'all this has truly changed my life. I, this morning, slept in until 11:30. I slept until 11:30. I normally don't do that, but I could. Typically, I would be at work, and I decided that I wanted to be home. My desire to be home was greater than my desire to stay stagnant. Okay, so I did what I needed to do. Even getting fussed at, like I said, they looked at my records and said, this travel thing has made me a 6-figure income earner. This travel thing has helped me help other people become successful, to make checks with commas in it monthly. That travel thing that they kept saying or trying to write or wrote me up for brought me home. This travel thing has made me the happiest I've ever been. I always tell people also, I spoke at the women's locker room at my company's event. I was to the point where I did not want my husband to touch me because I was too concerned about how I was going to pay bills for that next coming month. The last thing that was on my mind was sex or being touched. Women, when our mind is on how we're going to feed our family, the last thing we're thinking about is that. So it made its way into our household, into our bedroom, because all I'm thinking is, how are we going to make it? What am I going to do? This financial aid is going to run out soon. I'm not going to be able to do this for so long. There's going to be a time where it's all up, and what am I going to do? Okay? So now this has afforded my marriage is the bomb. Look, we're always together, okay? I can't keep my hands off of him. He can't keep his hands off of me because we're not worried about bills now. Why? Because we help other people pay their bills. We have helped other people be able to pay the bills in their household. And guess what happens when you sow seeds of greatness? When you sow seeds, you in turn reap what you sow. So watch what you're sowing. Watch what you're sowing, y'all. It's so vital that you watch what you're sowing. When I did not have money, I knew that I had to give it. Remember, going back to you have to sacrifice those things that you desire. I didn't have the money. And if you were just an ordinary person, you'd be like, well, why would you give what you don't have? Because I understand the power of attraction. The law of attraction says when you give, you will get. I give happiness, so I receive happiness. I give, I sow financial seeds, so I receive financial seeds. It's just the law of attractions. Yes, I was dirt broke, but there were times when people asked me for money, they didn't know I didn't even have it. Guess what? We was broke together, but at least I know that I blessed them. They thought that I had it then. I did not. There's so many people who reached out to me for financial blessings who I gave to when I did not have it to give. Okay, so I'm not going to keep going on and on and on, y'all, but y'all, if anybody invited you to watch this, get back with them. Travel, it just makes sense. There's so many different businesses out there. Me, I chose travel because I'm not the type to push products. My product is travel. I don't have to keep inventory in my household. I did, attempt it once and wind up using most of the product myself because I couldn't get it off the shelf. So, I love travel because I have not have to go out to anybody and say, travel. You better travel because they're doing it anyway. Okay. There's other things that I might, try to do and people will be like, well, that's not something that I use. I didn't want to be restricted to just a small market of people. I wanted it to be simple for me. And travel is sexy and it's simple. Natalie, I want to go to a concert. Can you get tickets? Yes. I want to rent a yacht. Yes. I want to rent a plane. Yes. I want a plane ticket. Yes. I want to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay, I got you. Okay, but guess what? I get to do this from my smartphone. Yes, my smartphone. I don't have to go anywhere. I can do it from the beach. Y'all see me traveling all the time. Guess why? Because now I have time freedom. I can travel and I have the financial freedom to do so too. All got started with a $199 investment, but for that particular side, it's only $19.99 for that particular side that was able to afford me to come home. $19.99 a month thereafter got me to where I was able to make six figures. And I am now able to help more people. Now, don't come in my inbox saying, Natalie, will you give me? Now, guy, I got to put it on my heart now. And I believe in blessing people. I really do. I believe in blessing people with positivity. I believe in blessing people with time. And if I see fit financially, but it has to be put on my heart. Okay. So you've got to take that step. Start. Don't overthink stuff. Well, I'm not the type that will. Who are you telling yourself that you are? What have you told yourself that you could be or do? Have you told yourself, I can't because? Take that out of your vocabulary. So you're telling me that somebody else is better than you because somebody else is doing it. So you're saying you're not as good as them? Take that all out. I kept saying to myself, well, I'm shy. And I'm not really shy. I'm a social butterfly, but I'm very introverted. Like I can be in my own little bubble and I'm so happy. Like I don't have to be around crowds of people. I like my space and I like to be alone a lot. But I couldn't use that as an excuse because I knew that my obedience was tied to other people's blessings. Y'all don't hear me. My obedience was tied to other people's blessings because I was obedient and I started this business when I was broke. I did not have no money, any money at all to give. But because I was obedient, started this business, there are people whose lives up under here have been changed dramatically. There are people who are now working from home. They're now able to be home with their children. We have several people. Well, you'll see people in Dubai. And there's one of my girls. She's going to Paris next week with her whole family, the kids, everybody. I mean, this is what it has afforded us. And I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm just saying that to impress upon you that we are helping ordinary people live extraordinary lives through this vehicle of travel. It's not rocket scientists. It's just travel, y'all. It's just travel. And it might not be this business. It might be something else that you're interested in. But whatever it is that you've been, thinking about doing, but you have not done yet, give birth to that. Awaken that sleeping giant. Give birth to writing that book that you always said that you were going to write. Give birth to acquiring that business you always wanted to acquire. Give birth to those dreams that you have always dreamt and you just didn't know where to start. The answer is start with one step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Get back with the person who invited you to